Hello everyone. Our group presentation is the Shell PLC ethical dilemma. As you can see, our group members are listed on the first slide. Okay, the next is table of content. Okay, the next I will start from the introduction. Increasingly, businesses are required to act ethically and not be motivated solely by profits. This is particularly so for companies in the oil and gas industry, which is already controversial as is considered among the largest environmental polluter and Tulsa contributor to the looming climate change crisis. This presentation explains the ethical dilemma case that the CEO of Shell plc faced and how the dilemma can be remedied. It also explores the leadership style and the standard that Shell CEO have adopted to address the remedies. Finally, the presentation offers recommendations on how to improve the leadership stance to enable organizations to address future dilemmas. Okay, next is Shell plc, formerly known as the Royal Dutch Shell plc, is the UK registered petrochemical and energy company that operates globally. Shell is involved in upstream and downstream market activities. The upstream market activities include oil exploration, transportation, and marketing, which in the upstream activities, the company deals with crude oil, natural gas, and other petroleum-based natural gas liquids. The downstream activities the company perform include oil refinery of natural gas liquid and diesel. The company has also initiated a green and renewable energy department in its effort to be more environmentally sustainable. Ben Van Beurden is the current CEO of Shell and has served in that position since 2013. He started working with Shell in 1983 and has recently rose the ranks to become the vice president of Shell chemical sector in 2008 and later promoted to director of upstream in 2012. After 1 year working as the director of upstream, he was promoted to the current position of CEO in 2013. Van Beurden has successfully applied a combination of transformational and democratic leadership styles while learning the company. Okay, this is all. Next speaker is YUSHENG.
Hi everyone, thanks for my partner. Hi everyone, welcome to my part. As my part, I want to talk about the transformational leadership. Transformational leadership relies on the exceptionalism and the influence of the leaders, which makes it possible for people to work under the leader and achieve more than what is expected of them. Has to adopt a transformational leadership style, a leader needs to have some expansion from the influence that makes them appealing and able to motivate their followers and attain to the objectives that the leaders want. Adopting the transformational leadership encourage the growth and prosperity of the both individual and organization. Transformational leadership styles influence the performance of individual and encourage cooperations between individuals and attain the organization's goals. As a result, it improves both individual and organization. Transformational leadership also promotes growth by the creating environment where the new ideas and the perspectives grow. Transformational leader developed in inclusive environment where individual and can participate and contribute to growth the companies. Next. One burden has a demonstrate transformational leadership by often making country decision against the direction of the industry intended to building better business. For instance, one burden is focused on the reporting oil companies to respond to the need of the 21st century. Certainly, the energy demand is changing as people want to more clean energy and renewable energy. Content to most energy companies, one burden has laid shield towards renewable and clean energy, which is the future. This is pushing the companies as a leader in the emerging industry to clean energies. Additional, one burden have adopted inclusivity in embracing the goal and being in the empathy, making the world better and doing something right. In this transformational leadership, one burden have also consistently acknowledged and apologized for the role of Shell PLC in climate change and deposit the company's board requiring him to stop analyzing. Such action have enabled the company to have good reputation with its customers and also the employees. The CEO has also made a commitment to transform Shell and by the extension, the oil and gas industry into an industry is responsive to the 21st century needs. Previously, the oil and the gas industry has been considered lucrative and hence companies in it have required regard to avoid losing profits deposit its role in the climate change. However, by the one banding committing to real change, the industry will be transformed. Next slide. The transformational leadership still focus a challenge where leader adopt pressure to transformational still falling to the adopted by the perfect flawless and the idealized behaviors of their leadership approach. As a result, such as leaders and considered heroic will the perpetuate on the uncycle act as according to the lead transformational leaders have to directional influence whereby the followers get value of the organizations and not vice versa. Okay, thanks for your listening. Let us move our focus on my partner.
Thanks to the speaking of YU-SID, now I'm going to talk about the democratic leadership. Democratic leadership style is an approach to leadership where there is a decentralized flow of leadership, reduced level of control over the subordinates, high involvement and input among individuals of different levels, and a slow decision-making process as a result of time taken to coordinate and deliberate. Democratic leadership is closely related to the term participative leadership. This is because in this style of leadership, the leader allows and facilitates the participation of their followers in the decision-making process while remains the authority to make final decisions. Adopting the democratic leadership style has huge benefit to the organization, as it is both team spirit, building the morale of employees, and promote creativity, which translates to high productivity for the organization. Democratic leadership involves leading from the front according to Strategy 2016. To properly implement democratic leadership, leaders should avoid misbehaviors such as cutting corners or failing to do what is right. Given that followers are likely to imitate the leader, the leaders must perform their duties effectively and with integrity to avoid situations where the followers learn from the tendencies that can sabotage the growth and prosperity of an organization. When Burden demonstrated democratic leadership style in different activities, he led from the front, not the back, which is an important aspect of democratic leadership. Followers need to see the performance of the leadership and the goals set for them to act. Since implementing this leadership style requires the leader to be visible and active. The ability of Burden to lead from the front has been demonstrated by the following 2 points. Firstly, Burden has positioned Shell as a global leader in climate change within the industry. This further showcases his ability to lead from the front and show the example which is followed not only by Shell's employees but also the competitors of the company. Secondly, Shell is among the first oil gas companies to commit to net zero carbon emission. When Burden has positioned the company as a global leader in the renewable energy. While democratic leadership is preferable in most situations, it has some disadvantages, include the time wastage due to long discussion. Leaders attempt to engage everyone to make well-thought questions. More time is taken consulting and discussing solutions compared to the faster decisions which would have been made if decisions were made solely by the leader. Furthermore, the long discussions can be overwhelming for leaders that can lead to suboptimal decisions that please everyone. This lowers the effectiveness of decision-making process and affects the overall performance of the organization.
Thanks to HUIHAN Gao. My name is Shuhao Wang. In my time, I will talk about the ethical dilemma faced by Burden. Individuals in leadership positions need to have high ethical standards as they are likely to be faced with significant ethical dilemmas where there are no clear choices. Ethics is an understanding of right and wrong and the ability of people to choose the right thing. According to Krishnamurthy, ethics and ethical standards informs individual decisions and also guides organizational decision-making. Therefore, leaders in organizations have to develop high ethical standards to ensure good organizational decisions are made. Observing high ethical standards is difficult. This is because doing the right thing is not straightforward, since it's often not a matter of saying yes or no. Making the right decisions, particularly where there are more than one party involved in the decision, is difficult. Benefiting one party might mean disadvantaging the other. Therefore, a decision maker must take sufficient time to make an ethical decision. Since leaders set the standards for organizational values, they need to be ethical in their decision making. Ethical leadership requires that leaders be respectful to others. Leaders work with a large number of people. Therefore, the ability to treat others with respect is right and ethical. Additionally, ethical leadership involves serving others. Because leaders have access to resources, they need to be ethical on how they use the resources and preferably use them to serve others and not to serve themselves. Other ethical leadership traits include showing justice, being honest, and building a community. Leaders need to act fairly and justly while dealing with employees, customers, and stakeholders. WAN-border faces a major ethical dilemma, given that Shell engages in oil and gas production despite the impacts of the oil and gas industry on the environment. There is a global consensus that hydrocarbons contribute massively to global warming and climate change, and therefore, by engaging in oil production, Shell is contributing to the challenge. According to Hearst, since Shell made a decision to focus on clean energy and to get to net zero carbon emissions by 2020, it has faced more criticism. This is because environmentalist complaints that the company is engaged in oil production despite knowing the impacts on the environment. Shell's operation in Nigeria has presented WAN-border with a significant ethical dilemma. After Shell expanded into Nigeria, Ogoni fields in the 1970s, the company experienced significant growth, which resulted in plans to increase explorations in 2018. Next part was introduced by CHAOFAN Yu. Thanks for your listening.
Okay. Hello, my name is CHAOFAN Yu. Thanks for my partners Xu-Hao Wang. I will introduce the ethical dilemma faced by Ben WAN-border. The explanation was projected to the highly profitable, producing over 350 barrels per day and a cumulative revenue of more than $178.85 billion. The high level of profitability makes the expansion very attractive for the company. However, oil explanation and the drilling have a negative environmental effect on the Ogoni. During the operation of Shell in Ogoni before 1993, the local community had formed a movement to fight the company and guarantee their survival against the pollution caused by the company. Farmers in the region had accused Shell of polluting the Niger Delta with massive oil spills, causing their land to be unproductive. WAN-border faced an ethical dilemma of either exploring new oil fields in Ogoni despite their knowledge that oil production for the organization's profit will result in a catastrophic effect on the communities of Nigeria and the environment. Shell leadership have to make decisions of whether their profit, which would maximize their shareholders' wills, is sufficient to ignore the suffering of people in Ogoni and the environmental impacts of their activities. Otherwise, the leaders can make a decision that environmental pollution and the suffering of the people are sufficient to decide against new exploration and drilling. To address the environmental pollution Shell created in the Niger Delta oil spill, WAN-border has committed to $111 million. This will help the farmers whose productivity was affected by the oil spills and enhance recover the damage Shell had caused to the Ogoni people. However, people view this as a stalling technique by Shell, given that the company has not yet cleaned up the region that had been impacted by the oil spill. Locals wanted the company to first clear up the oil spill and then pay money for the farmers to commerce effectively producing. Despite WAN-border being the CEO of Shell since 2014, the company has not addressed the community crisis in Nigeria. Despite the crisis going on for over 28 years, this shows the problems of the oil and gas industry to communities. Not only does it cause global warming, which is worsening climate change crisis, and it also causes environmental degradations as a result of spills and other challenges related with reduced rate of production, particularly in agricultural sector after pollutions. Next part, my partner JINGYAN will introduce to you. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thanks for my partner CHAOFAN Yu. And in my part, I will talk about three sections. The first one is the managing the dilemma and the impact on the organization. And the second is the conclusion. And the last one is some recommendation. Okay, let's start from the first one. According to Hurst, Van Burden has noted that share cannot solve the community problem in the natural data. However, the CEO presented that the company is committed to preventing future community catastrophe by going green. Share acknowledges that oil production always polluted environment in different ways, and therefore the only solution is to invest in green energy and be more committed to the fight against climate change by going net zero carbon emission as soon as possible. The next. Well, Van Burden and Shell investors have all agreed that the future will be green energy and that the company should invest in green energy future and reduce its carbon emission. The investors, however, disagree with Van Burden's decisions to apologize for company being engaged in oil and gas industry. The investors want the company to prepare for phasing out fossil fuel, but still want to ensure the industry's reputation is not damaged. And the next slide. Van Burden's commitment to green energy has been established in its £40 million projects in the UK. The project aim is to produce sufficient electricity to avoid band fluctuations. The investment in green energy shows the company has identified the future of the industry, and the CEO has already directed the company towards that future. And the next slide, I will talk about some conclusion. Ethics standards require that leaders be concerned with all stakeholders and work in the best interest of all parties concerned. While dealing with the natural data region community, Shell plc did not prioritize the well-being of the community and was only concerned with profits. As a result, the company drilled in the region generated profits for its shareholders and left people struggling with oil spills, ruining their land and their environment. Ethical leadership should incorporate taking responsibility for wrong actions. Organizations often make wrong decisions that are unintentional often. However, ethical leadership requires acknowledging the wrong decisions and rectifying them. However, the acknowledgement by Van Burden that Shell plc cannot solve the organic community crisis is a negative reflection of the firm, as it shows that the company is unable to handle its failure. At the final slide, I will talk about some recommendations. One of the reasons why the Shell plc and the natural community is not solved is due to the democratic leadership adopted by Shell. Both parts have to rigorously discussion and make final decisions on the way forward. Democratic leadership creates time wastage and slow decision-making, which the company is suffering. To eliminate time wastage, Shell should adopt a mantra of leading from the front to enable it to tackle its social problems promptly. Okay, At the end, our group member attach our reference list behind. Okay, our group presentation finished. Thank you for your listening.